It's, the three of us kind of work together, the CEO, myself, and the chief operating officer. So we sort of, operate more as peers, but yeah, technically he reports to me.
So is that an internal challenge too?
No, because we get along great and we work beautifully.
All three of you? So that's not
Well,
sandpaper?
No, I didn't say that. Peter and I, the chief operating officer, work really well together, and we struggle on and off with our CEO. Absolutely. And it's like a roller coaster. Some days are great, some days are bad.
So,
and I don't mean bad. Maybe it's challenging is the better word.
Sure. So, I gather from that what's not being said is that there's some issues. I mean, certainly an issue for you anyway, and maybe for your COO too, is your relationship with the CEO. Anything you say more about that?
I'll leave it. There's lots of opportunity for improvement.
And I'm going to come back to that in a minute.
Sure.
If I were talking to one of these direct reports, and it's kind of interesting, you got a fairly broad array. I was just kind of adding up here. You've got finance director, 2 credit people, that's 3, the HR person, your legal counsel, and then I'm not quite sure how many, but you've got the sales and ops people. You said sales and sales ops. I'm not quite sure what that is.
One of our regional leaders is responsible for sales and ops for 4 locations, and she reports to me.
But that's a fairly broad cross section. So let's just assume I'm talking to a few of those folks.
Sure.
And my question to them is, what leadership traits would you find challenging with Susan? What leadership traits does Susan have that you might find challenging? What might they be telling me?
She has too much on her plate. And so therefore her availability can be limited.
What else might they say?
That I don't always address some of these types of challenges. And that I tend to perhaps either work around them or just allow them to get in our way. So I'm not as head-on in dealing with certain conflict.
Not as confrontive as you might be.
Right. Those are the 2 main ones that I hear. And I'm not a salesperson. I'll never pretend to be a salesperson. I can sell, but I'm not going to be the sales and marketing, maniac that our CEO is. I mean, that's his gift and his strength, and that's why we've worked as well as we have, because I've come up through the finance ranks. And so I have sales responsibility, but, I'm not necessarily the most skilled to be helping evolve that organization.
Now, I'm kind of reading some things here between the lines, and you just tell me if I'm off base or not.
Okay.
But my sense of lack of focus, ERP issue, cutting overhead, maybe not so much that one, but some of these issues would seem to me that maybe they might all evolve from this, relationship or difference of opinion or difference of philosophy between you and the CEO. Am I right about that or not?
I don't think it's fair to paint all of them on him, because that's
I'm not saying him. I'm just
right.
saying.
But in terms of, I think it's an easy scapegoat, and yet there are still a lot of internal, and I don't want to say dysfunction, but in general, people don't like conflict, right? If I have a problem with you, I'm likely to tell Sally than talk to you. We have that rampant in our organization. So we just have a lot of inefficiency from people who aren't communicating directly with one another. And okay, sure, he's a conflict avoider. So
And
it's not being
as
modeled.
are you.
I have gotten better, but I'm not, innately driving head into it.
Well, tell me if this fits or not. I'd like to drill down in one specific area, and I realize this could be kind of tender, but the one that seems to me to might be the big elephant might be your relationship with the CEO. Is that possible? Would you be willing to do that, or?
In terms of what, labeling the elephant that way?
Well, just saying that the whole notion of what might get you most effectively to where you guys want to be, both personally and the business, would be if you could, in fact, find ways to enrich that and make it better and be more closely aligned. Is that possible or not?
I think it's definitely a component of it, but I think it's if it was that easy, I'd be excited actually, but it's not.
But you're not
just
seeming
that.
like you're not that.
No, I'm
excited
not.
about
I
it.
don't see the resolution to that being nirvana to get to the 200, because it's a bigger issue. And whether it's people on the bus not being the right talent, some of our systems not being scalable so that as we grow, we don't have to add overhead. I mean, there's just there are other issues that will be challenging as we try to get to that 200 million without some of the automation in place that will allow us to scale without adding expense.
Well, then let's not tackle that.
Okay.
Because it really, quite honestly, the one that's actually easier to quantify and easier to maybe even talk about is the whole notion of talent and what have you, having the right people on
Right.
the bus. So let's take that.
Sure.
So you've got some folks now that are obviously perhaps not as strong as you want them to be,
Right.
and the way you described it was, I'm not quite sure what to do about it because we don't just have an unlimited budget. I can't just
Right.
go, buy all
Right, I
people
can't
with
just
Harvard
exactly,
MBAs,
right.
or whatever it is that you might dream to be your nirvana for that.
Right.
You can't do that. So understanding that, what do you feel, if you were to just talk about the people on the bus and what might be different about that? And that's the issue we're going to tackle. What do you feel like the current impact of that is on your business today? And I'm really looking for, quantifying that in dollars, time, things.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It's both.
maybe you might help me with that. How might you quantify that?
It's hard to quantify, and I'll use an analogy from my past life at American. So I went into a department, I started in the finance organization and then moved into a department that was in the process of changing itself from paper pushers, PO processors, into the supply chain management organization at American, to really managing the supply chain, right? Two very different skill sets required. And as we brought in new people, we assimilated some of the old fell off because they weren't able to assimilate. And you'd go into these conversations with suppliers or internal customers, and you could be incredibly ineffective or incredibly effective, depending upon how you manage the conversation with that other person. And I apply the same challenge with our salespeople who have never had to go out and get new business, right? We've just grown. We had our largest competitor go belly up in 2000, so they are gone. Poof, and all that business came our way. They've grown their territories year after year after year, and they've done nothing other than like maintain it. Mm-hmm. We're not in that place right now. We are in a place where we have to go and find new revenue because all of our existing customers are down. So if we just continue maintaining the existing business, we will shrink.
Yeah.
And so how do you get people who have never done that before, some of whom are, not interested in changing, I am the way I am, don't change me, to, help build new skill sets to go find new business. So that's, one challenge in the arena of people not having the right skill set for what the business currently needs. Then we have the other challenge of, I just rolled out a new initiative in our automotive product sector, and we plucked a project manager out of Kentucky who I worked directly with, and he did a great job, but he basically took his day job and put it in the closet for the 2 months that he worked on this. Really? Can't do that. You gotta keep doing the day job and project manage this thing. So it took all that he had to project manage this initiative because it was something he had never done before, and he wasn't comfortable. He didn't know what he was doing. And it's, we're at a good place now, and, could he go back and do it much more efficiently this time? Absolutely. But what was the opportunity cost of what he didn't do in his day job? I'm still unclear. So...
And did you burn him out, too?
Oh, we stressed him out and burned him out, but I don't think we burned him out. I think we stressed him out. But he's a talented guy. Mm-hmm. He just was probably uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Some people don't like to venture into things that they don't know. They want to just continue to do things that they know.
Well, I realize that in kind of a diverse business across all the locations and channels and what have you that you have, this might be a tough question, but if you had to put a figure on it, what do you think this lack of talent, or at least, I suppose the other way to based on what I heard you say, is you've got some mediocre talent.
Right.
What's that costing you?
In light of who we've cleared out in the last year and a half, I'd say it's costing us at least $1 million to $2 million. Because we've cleared a lot of mediocre people out. So of the $2.5 million number I gave you earlier, I'd say half that was people that shouldn't have been here to begin with. So, but the challenge is, so that all that talent's now gone. And
you still have
we still have challenges with, okay, to get to where we need to go and for what we need to do to get to where we want to go, who's going to be working besides like 5 people? So, I mean, we've got 20 people that we're bringing in next week for, a strategic planning meeting. And, we absolutely expect that all of these people will be playing some role, but how much are we going to have to be working to help them